Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for my long awaited priority brands video. Today I'm going to be talking about all the brands that are getting in the Club FRIZZFACE in 2024. If that sounds good to you, keep on watching. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So how are you? I hope you're doing swell. This video is a collaboration with my girl JAMI. Her channel is I Am Jamila. She and I have become really great friends outside of YouTube, and I just love hearing her thoughts. I love seeing her cute face. I love hearing her voice. I just love JAMI so much. And last year she did a video on her priority makeup brands and which brands were getting into Club Jamila for 2023. And then I did my take on it, and this year we were like, let's collab. So I'm going to be sharing with you my VIP list for brands and then my general admissions list and just some brands that I don't know. I really don't know. I put them under the category of So when you're done watching this video, definitely check out JAMI. You are going to love her. There's just no way you're not going to love JAMI. So I am going to rewind to the earlier me, so don't get scared because I'm going to have on no makeup. And we're just going to get ready. I'm going to talk about these brands, and I'm not going to talk about the makeup. I'll put it in the description box for real. And let's go ahead and get to these priority brands. Don't forget to let me know your priority brands in the comment section. And let me know, like, you might be on a low buy or a no buy, or you may be on a no buy for certain products. Like I'm on a no buy for eyeshadow. No, hold on. Not on a no buy for eyeshadow palettes. I'm on a no buy for eyeshadow singles. So let me know that as well, so we can keep each other on track with our goals, because we are a community. We are in this together. And if you have certain goals, I want to help you achieve them, just like I need y'all to help me achieve mine. So let's get into these priority brands, and then I'll be back at the end to wrap it up. I am so excited to do this video, y'all. It's like 6 a.m. The boys are not even up yet. I wanted to do this video back during Frizzmas, but I was still getting my thoughts together, and I think I have a pretty good feelings now about these brands. I'm gonna have to list my makeup because I can't talk about too many different things. So I will put all of that in the description box. I really will this time, y'all, for real. I'm trying to get better with that. First of all, if a brand that you like does not make the cut for my VIP list, it's no shade on the brand. None of these brands that I'm talking about today are bad brands. Also, this is not set in stone. So if I say something's not a priority brand, I'm not saying that I'll never get something from a brand that's not a priority brand. But I'm really just talking about the brands that I know that I use a lot. And I would also like to say that this mostly pertains to eyeshadow palettes, because eyeshadow palettes are my problem area. I don't really have a problem. I mean, all of my makeup is a problem area. But as far as what do I have the most of, it's the eyeshadow palettes. I don't have this issue with lipstick or blush. Like, all of my blush fits in one thing. The eyeshadow palettes are taking up a bookcase. And then some of these plastic shoe totes. So that's my problem area. And overall, I feel like I need to just hone it all in. I have really spread myself very thin, especially at the end of the year with Black Friday sales. I was just letting everybody get it. You know what I mean? Not in that way, but you know what I'm saying. So let's just go ahead. Some of this will not shock you, but we're going to talk about this like I did last year. JAMI and I, it was like getting into the club, you know? And I will mention a bunch of brands. There's some brands I'm not mentioning, but yeah, if I forget somebody, just be like, hey, how do you feel about such and such? Okay, priority brand number one. I'm not going to say that these are in any particular order, but it's just how the brands came to my mind. So maybe it is. Tasha, are you surprised? First of all, I look at my makeup collection because I was reorganizing, Natasha, I really enjoy her brand a lot. I love that she takes risks. She does different products, different color stories. But when it comes to her eyeshadow palettes, the performance has always been excellent for me. The mattes, the cream to powder, she is changing up her shimmers. You all know how much I talk about the Xenon palette. That palette was the surprise of the year for me because I just did not think I was gonna like that palette, and it's really one of my favorites. I bought that palette solely because of Alicia Archer and my curiosity. That is the only reason. Does Natasha have some misses as far as a color story for me? Yeah, she does. There are some palettes that aren't my favorite, but I can always get a good look out of them. They are lasting. All of my palettes, even the bronze palette, which was my first one that I bought back in 2020, that palette is performing exactly how it did when I got it. The shades are magnetic. I can swap them around. I can build my own palettes if I want. So even if there's a color story I don't care for that much, like the pastel palette, I can combine that and switch it around, add some depth from other Natasha Denona palettes that I have. So no Natasha palette that I have has been a wasted palette, and I have to say I am so excited for what she is going to come out with this year. I'm really into Natasha Denona a lot. I like her lipsticks. I do like her eyeliners. Oh my gosh, the color corrector and concealer, the Hygiene primer. Like, she continues. Oh my gosh, a child. Good morning, Marky Chambers. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Okay. So whatever she's gonna do this year, I'm thinking I'm most likely gonna be behind it. So Natasha Denona, she probably is the #1 brand, but I can't say that for sure. I'll think about that, but I think she is. So Tasha is definitely on the VIP list. Does it mean I'm going to buy every single thing? No, but I'm probably going to get most things. That's just the reality. Not those like mini palettes, not those like the mini Dreamer, no. But like the large palettes, the middies, if she does blushes, any of that stuff, most likely I'm going to grab. And that's it. I'm excited to be affiliated with her brand. I can get the 15% off. So that's going to be a good look for me and for my collection. All right, next on the list is a PR brand, but it's a brand that I love, and that is Unearthly Cosmetics. I do get most things in PR from Unearthly Cosmetics, but the things that I don't, like that Devour collection, I was like, I really want that. I genuinely want that. It had nothing to do with being an affiliate. Now, I will say that last year, Unearthly Cosmetics, I want to say, was like a general admission brand. And that's because I was not really into the shimmer formula. But this year, I love the style of the palette she's come out with. She has come out with more products, and the palettes have been performing beautifully. Sorcerer's Smoke, Devour, I'm waiting on Dreamer. I love just her whole aesthetic. I love her ideas. I love that she switches things up. I also love, she is Amanda, the owner. I love that she is on YouTube. She's playing with her palettes. She's giving us lid swatches. You know, it's not just the professional picks. I love that she's really connected with her audience, and she has a serious following. Having a serious following is not why she's a priority brand, but these are the reasons that I really enjoy the brand. And Unearthly Cosmetics is really the first indie brand that I had gotten into when I started this makeup journey. So really excited to see her continue to expand. I do believe she's adding some more products to her line, and I'm very, very excited. I'm not going to keep saying the word excited. I am ready for my Dreamer box to come so I can show you all that, and the bullet lipsticks. I did get a discount on the box because I was going to get the palette for free, but I was like, no, I really want the box. I want to try these new products that she's coming out with. Very, very happy to see Unearthly Cosmetics move up to the VIP list from general admission. VIP is best of the best. I'm going to like everything. It's going to be a guaranteed fun time, and that's what I'm here for in 2024. We're here for the ease. We are here for the good time. Okay, next on my priority brands list is going to be Adept Cosmetics. I love Adept Cosmetics. And I love all of my palettes. The only palette I don't really care for the most is Minka. And it's not that it's a bad palette. It's just a shimmer formula that I'm not really into. But the 15 pans with the matte row, I am loving that style of palette. Adept really killed it last year. Inspired, Sumerian Sunset, Seahorse, Element 115, La Cienega. I have that down here I haven't used yet. But that's like 5 palettes right there. I didn't really care for the Quetzalcoatl White or the Rainbow Raider. I didn't get Rainbow Raider. But they have really killed it with color story, with vision, with creativity. They also have magnetic palettes if you want to switch things around, if you're not totally happy with the color story or you want to have a little bit of change. So I am really excited. They have Flying Fiddles. That palette's going to be coming at some point this year, probably earlier in the year. And I'm always excited. These brands are making me excited for makeup again. I'm always excited for the teaser and just to see the process and the reveals. So I can say like my Adept Cosmetics are also holding up very well. And I know with Unearthly, my Warms My Blood palette, I did have a shade dry up. There was no issue getting a replacement shade. I am really looking forward to see what they are going to be giving us in 2024 because they're always giving us something new and something creative. The next brand on my list is another one that I received PR from, and they have also moved up from the general admissions list to the VIP, and that's Nomad Cosmetics. Nomad also stepped it up in 2023. If I said this year, I meant 2023. They stepped it up in packaging, in formula, everything. They stepped it up. The Royal Europe palette, definitely a top palette. I was like, okay, multi-chromes, okay, layout, very, very beautiful palette. Some of my best looks. The Ghost Town palette. Ghost Town was another one that blew me away with the cool tones and the variety. Okavango, that earthy yucca color story, another beautiful palette. They were about to have 3 on my top palettes list, and that's never happened before. They stepped up their shimmers because the shimmers were the reason that Nomad was not really a top brand, and they've done some experimentation, but I think they've really gotten it together this year. When they change the shimmers up, they aren't always my favorite, but I'm telling you, that Ghost Town palette, they need to stick with that. The Royal Europe palette, I want them to stick with that formulation because I thought it was so good. Packaging is always A+. Mattes, A+ every time. I still love Hudson Valley, which was from 2022. Still love that palette. Brought that out this year. So Nomad, I am really looking forward to the palettes. Even the Nomad Air collection where they had the bag with the mini palette and the facial spray and the moisturizer. I mean, that was something new for them. I just thought they did a phenomenal job in 2023, and they definitely bumped up to the VIP list. Yes, they did. And I can say that the palettes that I got this year or in 2023, I would have bought those palettes. And I have not always been able to say that about the Nomad palettes that I've been gifted in PR. A newcomer to the list, to the whole list, and they jump right up to VIP is Blend Bunny. Prior to this year, I'd only tried 2 palettes. I tried the original blends and Dollhouse. Dollhouse I sold. I have since repurchased that. But continuing to use blends and then Machina, my Blend Bunny palette list has grown. I now have Sugar and Grunge. I have Dollhouse back. I have All Done Up, Machina, and blends. Every time I use my original blends palette, I'm like, this is one of the best palettes I've ever tried. The colors blend so well for all those pigmented mattes. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what magic she's putting in them, but every single time it's a win. The Machina palette, some of my best looks. I am extremely happy with the brand. I like how personable Maggie is with her audience. I love the creativity. I love the organized layout. I know we had Sickly Sweet, but I don't even care. Blends is really doing big things for me, and I am so excited to see what she is going to create this year. I also have to mention the lip oils. The lip oils are really nice. I have 3 now. I have the black one, I have the like bright blue one, and I have a red one. They are just as nice as my Dior lip oils. So there's really no need for me to go and get any more Dior lip oils, because to me, they are pretty much the same. So I'm so happy to have gotten on the blends train. I don't know what I was doing all this time. The mattes are just so good. I also know that she has been revamping her shimmer formula over time, and I can't recall ever having any problems with the shimmers. I definitely didn't have any problems with the shimmers in the Machina palette. I just thought everything was so well done. And the Machina palette really, really surprised me, because that color story wasn't what I expected, but I absolutely think it's beautiful. And I love the story behind it, how she shared that with us. So blends is on my priority list. I am looking out for them. Another newcomer to the game is Fantasy Cosmetica. I only have 2 palettes, but I was introduced to the brand from my friend JAMI, and the first thing that I tried from the brand was actually the perfumes. And I love how there's this multi-sensory experience with Fantasy Cosmetica, where we have a vision here. We don't just have a palette. We don't just have the Fighter palette. We have the smell of Fighter with us. We have the Fighter fragrance. So it gives us that whole vibe, putting on the palette, putting on the fragrance. The fragrances are excellent. The bottles, hand painted. You can tell the care that goes into these releases. And even though they may not be a hand-pressed shadow brand, you can just tell, like with these 9-pan palettes that Jordan creates, they're very curated. They're very well thought out. The fragrances are well thought out. She supplies us with all of the notes. Again, hand-painted bottles, different sizes. I love that. The Lost Library collection, I only got 2 lipsticks and the fragrance from that collection, but just putting out different products, the lipsticks, the 6-pan single eyeshadows. I just think that this is a brand that's going to keep us on our toes. I do like the small palettes. I hope that she stays with that, because those 9-pans are excellent and still give some variety of looks. They're easy to use. The formula that she has chosen is great. So Fantasy Cosmetica is on my priority brands list. Again, it doesn't mean I'm going to get every single thing, but they are a brand that has me excited for makeup. So yes to Fantasy Cosmetica. I have one that I'm on the fence about. These 2 could actually be swapped, but I'm gonna talk about both of them in VIP. Cosmic brushes. I fell in love with Cosmic brushes with that Wonderland palette. And when palettes surprise me, that is when I'm like, okay, you got to keep your eye on them. I just really didn't think I was going to be so into that Wonderland palette, and that ended up being one of my top 15 palettes of 2023. Blue, green, purple, teals, those usually aren't colors that I go for, but I am going for them now. That was the perfect winter palette. I also received some other palettes from Cosmic Brushes, but I did use Serenity, and I thought that Serenity was also very, very beautiful. Really beautiful palette, beautiful formula, variety, everything was there that you needed. I also want to mention the price point for blends. The price point to me is very, very reasonable. Fantasy Cosmetica, yes. Cosmic Brushes, even though they are a UK indie brand, the price point is exactly what I need, because the makeup prices have gotten completely out of control. I'm so happy that we are finding brands that are keeping things reasonable for us. I really am happy about that. Cosmic Brushes, I'm very excited. I can't say I'm going to get everything, but I'm going to be looking. I even like that, was it a 6-pan they came out with? That was like all the purples. I just didn't need that color story, but I thought that was really beautiful. The Gothic palette. Very, very beautiful color story. I was going to put Lethal on general admission, only because Lethal sometimes comes out with stuff and I'm like, girl, what? Like that 7-Up collection. But when they come out with palettes like the Metamorphosis palette, the Evergreen palette, the Midnight Serenade palette. Those palettes, I'm getting those palettes. They are beautiful. I'm not going to be buying any eyeshadow singles. So not Lethal isn't on VIP for that, but for those palettes, they are gorgeous. They perform well. The shimmers are shimming. The mattes are fantastic. They came out with mascara. They're giving us different products. I like my blush that I have from them. So I'm here for Lethal Cosmetics. Okay, so let's see how many brands I have on the priority. And again, it doesn't mean I'm getting everything, but these are the brands I'm looking out for their releases. So that's 8. The last palette that I'm really looking out for, because this brand releases things not pretty often, but I will be purchasing the large Byredo palettes this year. I think they only come out with 1 or 2. So I can't say Byredo is a priority brand, but those big palettes are priority palettes. I would really like to try those, and you cannot find the Kalahari palette or the Remembrance palette for a reasonable price. They're charging something ridiculous, but I've heard nothing but good things from the big palettes. The smaller palettes, I believe, are a bit overpriced, so I'm not really interested in those. Let's go to general admissions, and I am not naming every single brand, but let's get into it. First, I want to mention Glamlite. Glamlite is another brand. They have great sales. I don't like all the themes, but I'm still working on my Friday the 13th palette. This palette is excellent. Everything that I've tried from Glamlite is excellent, and I did get some things for Black Friday. So if there's something that comes out here and there that I want, I'm gonna get it. I know they have a lot of collabs coming this year, and I'm not gonna be here for all of that. I mean, some stuff is a bit much, but definitely on a sale. Glamlite, yes, they if they could just space it out, like the way they did those Halloween collections, I wasn't happy about, but if they could figure that part out, I think they could really do even better this year. I'm excited. I finally got the Chucky palette. I've wanted to try that palette since it came out, and I waited and waited and waited, and finally I got that one, so I'm excited. Danessa! Okay, I only have one palette, and that's the Lightwork palette, but Danessa is hit or miss with me. Not that her stuff isn't good, because I did try the Yummy Skin foundation. I thought it was excellent, but it just depends on what I'm in the market for. When it comes to eyeshadow palettes, like, I do have some of those color fixes. You've never seen me use them because I don't use products like that. If she comes out with another Lightwork that doesn't have creams, that's like the one that she came out with this year, yeah, like I would definitely consider getting that. And I'm always going to be looking, but a lot of times the things that Danessa Myricks comes out with, I'm not really into. I know her products are excellent, so that's why she's general admission. Sydney Grace. So Sydney Grace was in my VIP brands list last year. And the reason that they're not is just because I'm not getting any eyeshadow singles. My eyeshadow singles collection has grown tremendously with getting those monthly bundles, so I did not get the January monthly bundle this year. I am going to be staying away from the monthly bundles, from any type of eyeshadow singles from any brand. If Sydney Grace comes out with a palette that I like, I will get it, but I don't always like the palettes, so it just depends. Formula is one of the best I've ever tried, though, so that's why Sydney Grace has moved from VIP to general admission. Mama Pat, y'all know I'm always looking at Mama Pat. I'm always excited for the reveal. I've just been let down more times than I've been excited. There's no need for her to be VIP. She definitely has VIP quality and shadows. So, and they're some of my favorites, my motherships. I love them. I will be purchasing the mothership that comes out this year. However, she is having so many sales, there's really no need to get anything for regular price. So, and everything's coming back. Like, she just had a vault where she bought the Celestial Odyssey palette back, the Star Wars palettes, and everything was 30% off. So Pat McGrath, she was general admission last year, and she is staying in the general admissions category this year. Notoriously Morbid. I love Notoriously Morbid. I love their formula. I think they're creative, one of the more creative indie brands out there. However, the shipping, and I'm affiliated with them, but I never know what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm not getting. I don't know anything. I can't even be a helpful resource for anybody when it comes to Notoriously Morbid. It took me like 2 months to get my Gold Dust Woman palette. I know they're in the midst of honing in and getting back to makeup and everything. But after they sent all that, the releases still kept coming. It still kept coming, and I was confused. So I love Notoriously Morbid. The turnaround times for shipping are crazy to me. So I will continue to support Notoriously Morbid if there's something that I like. If I get it in PR in a reasonable time, I will do a video for it. But sometimes what I'm finding is I'll get the palette and then it's not that long, like, for me to get it up, and then the palette's gone. So I don't know. I just don't like that aspect, but I do love the brand, but they are on the general admission list. Klarity Cosmetics. I really do like Klarity. They have great quality, great palettes. If it's a color story I like here and there, I might get it. But I'm kind of full with my Klarity collection. They had these scavenger hunts and a huge sale at the end of 2023. And I added to my collection. I really don't need any more palettes from Klarity at this time because I haven't used what I already own. So I will be looking, but they are in general admission for this year. Huda Beauty. I usually only get their holiday palette. So I'm not really concerned with Huda Beauty being an issue for me. Hourglass. I love their lipsticks, but my big purchase is usually one of these. So I'll probably get one of those during holiday time. They are coming out with some liners. I would love to try them because their lipsticks are one of my favorite releases from 2023. So I might try a liner or two, but it's not a brand where it's like they're going to be coming out with all this stuff that I'm going to buy. I use their powders daily, but they are very long lasting. Terra Moons and Clionadh. So I'm not getting singles, but of course, both brands have done a sneak peek of a palette. I've always wanted to try Clionadh mattes, so if they come out with a palette that has some mattes, I might try that. As far as all shimmer palettes, I don't need all shimmer palettes. Terra Moons, I'm just curious. I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting that palette, but if they come out with palettes, I would be inclined to try the palettes, but I'm not buying any singles. As far as luxury brands go, you all know that I do have some luxury beauty, but it's not really eyeshadow palettes. I have a ton of Dior lipsticks. I love my Chanel lipsticks. I have a bunch of Dior Quints and things like that. I do treat myself to a Chanel blush here and there. These aren't brands that I'm going to be getting everything from, and I don't have the money to get everything from. Let me find my lipstick because I feel like I look wild. Hold on. This is one of my Chanel lipsticks right here, Alter Ego. These brands aren't something that I can really afford on a regular basis. So I'm not overly concerned about shopping from them. Same with like Tom Ford. Oh, here and there he may have an eyeshadow quad that I like, but I have a few. I don't have a whole lot, but oftentimes you can get them on sale. So I'm not really worried when it comes to those brands. And again, those brands, especially Chanel and Dior, it's mostly the lip products that I just love. I love. And they don't release all the time like a lot of the indie brands are. I just had to get my indie brands especially in check because the releases are so frequent. Lastly, I want to talk about my area. I don't know if these brands are getting into my club this year. And first we're going to talk about Melt. Melt, I tried. And every single time I talk about Melt, I'm looking in past videos. I'm always like, I'm rooting for Melt. I'm rooting for Melt. Like, I'm always saying that. I have rooted for Melt from the beginning, but I think I have to be done. The Bailey Sarian collection really told me that. I was just like, this is not what I was expecting quality-wise, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised. But that was probably going to be my last hurrah. And I hate to say that, but I can still take inspo from Melt and, you know, the looks that they create. But as far as the eyeshadow palettes, those are definitely a no. I love my Melt blushes so much, but the lipsticks are super dry. The eyeshadow palettes, I have to do too much to make them work. And I'm looking for a year of ease. So the Melt palettes, I don't even feel like giving the Bailey palette another chance. Like, that's where I'm at because I have so many great eyeshadow palettes. There's just no excuse for this in my collection anymore. I could not believe how dry those lipsticks were. Like, I thought I was going to take my lip off. I cannot use them alone. And so because of that, it's like, do I really feel like finessing them every time that I use them? So I will enjoy the melt palettes that I have, but I don't think I'm going to be adding to my collection. Another brand that went from VIP to is Odens Eye. My palettes are not holding up despite the advertised shelf life. I've talked about the shimmers getting hard pan. I've heard you all saying the same thing. I am going to do my best to not get caught up in the color stories and the initial performance of the shadows, because I have to think about makeup as an investment, and the investment is not giving me the return I need over time. I just can't do it. I'm going to try to be good when it comes to that and think about the fact that my shade in Giant Wolves dried up and my shades are like really getting hard pan after the first use. Like, I should not have hard pan on my shadows after the first use. It's just not practical for me. What y'all think? I don't even think I'm doing eyeshadow today. Like, I'm just happy with this. All right, lastly, I might just do some mascara today and call it a day. And lastly, as far as brands, let's just, on my I don't know if you're getting in, is I have it listed as all those indie brands. So we're talking about Bella Beaute Bar, we're talking about Ensley Rain, Sugar Drizzle, Simply Posh, Wicked Widow, all of those. They have great color stories, they do. But I cannot. I am spreading myself way too thin, and the prices for these brands have been horrendous. $88, it's crazy. Like, I tried Ensley Rain. I really wanted Harvest Moon. I did get Twisted Tea Party. I like Twisted Tea Party, but I really didn't need Twisted Tea Party. I could have stuck with Harvest Moon. I skipped on Cold Moon. I'm gonna really do my best to skip on those palettes this year because I just don't need them. And I want to do looks and with palettes that people can come back to years later. That's why I love my motherships. I can come back to my motherships and people are still using the motherships. People are still looking for fresh inspiration, especially because of the sales. So I really enjoy using palettes like that. My Natasha Denona palettes, people are coming back and looking at them. They're not these palettes that are, you know, they're here for a decent amount of time, and people are going back to those palettes because they're standing the test of time. They're standing the test of time with the performance. They're standing the test of time with the color story. They're standing the test of time with the eyeshadow formula. Like, Natasha don't have to improve her eyeshadow formula all the time. Her eyeshadow formula has always been good. So I can pull out Metropolis, even though Metropolis isn't available. People are still using Metropolis. They have the cream to powders. They have excellent shimmers, you know. So I want palettes that are going to have the longevity and really stand the test of time. Some of these palettes are more fun time releases, like the Glamlite ones. Those are fun time releases. But I still see people mentioning the Chucky palette. I still see people talking about Rick and Morty. Now I wish I had that one, you know. So that's what I'm looking for. These, I don't want to say fast brands. Like, you know, you have fast fashion, and I'm not saying I don't participate in fast fashion sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that, because oftentimes the fast fashion is affordable, but the fast indie, they're not affordable at all. It's not like it's a fast and cheap brand. This is fast and you're paying plane tickets for these palettes. No, I cannot do it. I cannot do it anymore. I just can't. Because I look at the stuff that I continue to talk about when I talk about my Chanel blush, when I talk about my Chains blush. How long have I had that blush? 3 years? Oh, I lost it, had to repurchase it. I know it was $70, but I've got my return on that blush and it's still being sold. My Hourglass palettes, my Tiger palette. Yes, it was, I think I paid like $80 for it. Do I still use it often? Yes, at least once a month. So I'm looking now and seeing that some of these fast purchases that I've made that aren't even cheap, I'm not using. And the other thing is they're not available anymore. My Notoriously Morbid palettes, most of them are not available. So what's the point of me bringing back a palette out? Like, what's the point of me bringing a palette out and showing y'all? Yes, it can be inspo. Yes, you can make your own palette or whatever, but they're so creative. Like, who wouldn't be like, ooh, I would love to have that. And I'll be like, you can't. It's not about the YouTube videos really, but it's more about what I noticed that I'm using over time. That's why this priority brands list, I'm trying to get my hair fluffed up just right, is really important for me to keep my eye on this year. And when things look beautiful, when you see those swatches and all that, because swatches will make you get the palette, I really have to pay attention. And again, this just pertains to eyeshadow. I don't really have this issue with the other areas of makeup. So let me know what you think about my priority brands list. I feel pretty good about this list. I know there's some brands that I probably didn't mention. Kaleidos, I mean, I don't even know what they're doing. Viseart, I never really use. So if there's any other brands that I forgot or you want to ask me about, definitely ask me. And I will definitely let you know where they stand as far as Club FRIZZFACE goes. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another one. Please go check out JAMI's. I cannot wait to see what her priority brands are. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.